everybody, what is up? My name is Totem, and last night I unfortunately had not the pleasure of watching Let the Right One In, the 2022 remake series by Showtime. And just gotta say that I only seen the first episode. I want to make this video right before I go ahead and watch the second and just give my initial thoughts. And right now I'm just not pleased with the series. I have no idea what kind of direction they're trying to take it. It feels like it's just there's no relation to the original films or the book besides the character's name, Ellie, and that she's a vampire and that she happens to befriend this kid who is also her neighbor. Other than that, everything's completely different. All the character names are different, the setting's different, and the story is completely unrecognizable from the 2008 version or even from the book itself. And I gotta say that I'm not happy. I'm not really intrigued to see where this story is going. There are some elements that I thought were pretty interesting. And forewarning, this is going to be a complete spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the episode, you might want to go and leave this video and go check it out beforehand. Or if you want to get some more insight on my thoughts and feelings about it, you're welcome to stick around. But to get right into it, if you haven't seen the original version was made back in 2008 of the same name, Let the Right One In. And it's about this vampire girl who isn't actually a girl, is a boy who was castrated before becoming a vampire by some over-religious zealots, and then just assumed the identity or assumed the gender of being a girl, and is taken care of by her friend Hawken, who during this time when we first are introduced to these characters, he's an old man, but she knew him, or he knew him, way back when they were both children. And then she meets a boy named Oscar. Now, in the 2010 version, Ellie, who is now Abby, is played by Chloe Grace Moretz, and then they changed the name of the male counterpart, or the other friend counterpart, from Oscar to Owen. Besides the name changes and taking away the aspect that the vampire kid was originally born male, the movie is like almost a one-to-one adaptation. So it does a pretty good job, but it does feel kind of soulless. I feel like the 2008 version had so much depth to it. And even though the one made in 2010 had basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original movie, there was just no heart or soul to it. It just felt like a copy, you know? So here we are today in 2022 where Showtime is re-releasing or doing a retelling of the original movie or novel with so many different changes. I want to go in saying that I'm not offended by any changes whatsoever. If someone wants to go in and make some changes to a property that already exists or has existed for some period of time and has some success, I'm fine with making changes. If you haven't seen my review of Interview with a Vampire, I actually like what AMC was doing with the current series made by Anne Rice. All the changes there, even the race swapping, works. And I initially fell in love with it right off the bat from watching the first episode. With this, however, I don't have the same sentiment or feelings that I do when I watch Interview with the Vampire. I love both Interview with the Vampire and also Let the Right One In, respectively. They both have a place in my heart. They're movies the original movies that I used to watch every year because I'm a big vampire buff. I love vampire movies, vampire cinema, vampire TV shows, anything that has to do with vampires. I love vampire novels. So I'm really big into the vampire culture. With that being said, here are some of the changes. Now, they kept the name Ellie for the vampire child, but it's short for Eleanor, which isn't like a really big deal. The problem, though, is in the original book and in the original movies, Ellie she's existed for hundreds of years. So she's an old vampire. In the 2022 remake, she's only been a vampire for 10 years. And the man who's taking care of her is her actual biological father. Different, okay? And the father is doing his best to find a cure for his child. Seen it, don't really care for that type of storyline. Doesn't interest me at all. Now for the male counterpart, the friend that Ellie is introduced to or eventually meets goes by the name of Isaiah. Okay, the name's been changed before. I guess the name isn't really all that important. What's important is, who is this character now? Because in the original film back in 2008, Oscar had some screws that weren't really all the way there. No, they weren't really tightened.
Är du rädd? Skrik då! Skrik då!
Yes, he was a bullied child in school, but on the other hand, he used to collect these newspaper clippings of serial killers. And then sometimes he will wear a mask and practice with a knife on cutting people. Mostly just the bullies from school, but he also had this feeling of, but he also had this sense of becoming something much darker, which is what drew Ellie to him in the first place, because she's also a monster. And she saw a connection with him. So it's like, the first time I met you, you had a knife and you're talking about like squeal and thinking about cutting people. That's what drew her to him. They both have some sort of dark element residing within them or about them. Now here, they completely took that out the window. And now the kid Isaiah is a completely sweet kid. There's nothing wrong with him. And on top of that, he just wants to make friends. He's still bullied in school just for being different. No one really explains why he's being bullied. Just that we need him to be bullied because that's his character. Okay. And instead of wanting to collect these newspaper clippings of serial killers and practicing with a knife at night about dreaming of cutting people, he now just wants to be a magician and play with magic and playing cards.
Open your hands.
All right.
Oh, what are you, a comedian?
Actually, officer, I'm a magician.
Okay, up against the wall, Houdini.
They also gave his mother a much bigger role in this series right off the bat. So she's like a detective and she solves murders and crimes, stuff like that. And there's this element where people in their town or in their city are being murdered. And the father thinks there's a link between these murders and his daughter's ailment of being a vampire. Essentially, he's looking for the original vampire that bit her and turned into a vampire, because he believes if he can find that original vampire, maybe he can find a cure. I don't know. And they happen to be from this town. I don't have a problem with race swapping whatsoever. They decided to make Ellie and her father are Mexican, which is kind of cool. And Isaiah is black this time around. And I'm all up for adding diversity into more vampires type of cinema. I just don't like the story changes, especially if it doesn't work. There's just nothing here that's drawing me to want to know more. This, with the exception of there's like this drug that's going around. Obviously, it has to do with vampires, and anyone who takes this drug feels like they could run through walls, with the one drawback of their skin feels like it's burning anytime they go out into the sunlight. So the only thing that's making me interested to learn more is just this drug that's been going around. But other than that, it's just, I don't know. It's just I don't like it. I don't like anything that I'm seeing. The cinematography is kind of awful. There's no love. It feels like there's no love to this. Just like the 2010 version with Chloe Grace Moretz, it just feels like there's no soul either. I guess it's kind of interesting that they're trying to build this deeper relationship between Ellie and her now biological father, because now they have like that strong sense of duty, like, okay, I need to take care of my kid. I'll do anything for my kid. I'll kill for my kid, you know? So I guess in that aspect, it does work, but I'm just not having any sort of... I don't care about any of these characters. I don't. So if any of them had just happened to like just die right off the bat, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's that. They're not making me care. And I want to care. I came in here wanting to care. I came in with zero expectations. I was super excited to actually see this episode because I am a big fan of the 2008 version. And I wanted to see what they would be able to do, because I already knew about the race swaps ahead of time. And so I was like, I really had no problem with that. But it's just like, man, all these changes. And then they added like another third element with these 2 or 3 original characters, almost with the same plot, where this father is taking care of his son, who is a vampire, and he too is trying to find a cure. But what's holding him back is he has pancreatic cancer, he's dying, and so now he employs his daughter to take up the mantle to work on her brother to also now look for and develop a cure. I hate this storyline. I hate the idea of trying to find a cure, blah, 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 blah. Don't like it, don't care for it. With all that being said, it's like all these other elements that are now introduced into the series, it takes away the main portion of the story, which is the relationship between Ellie and now Isaiah. And I just don't see a connection there. None. Here, they show that when she first is introduced to him, she initially tries to eat him because she's desperately hungry, but she stops because he's doing magic, and magic is supposed to replace the element that Ellie likes, puzzles. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it would work because her character is so different now. Just like in the original 2008 version and the 2010 version, like I said, Ellie or Abby have existed for hundreds of years. They've grown accustomed to sleeping in a bathtub to hide away from the sunlight. They go to sleep during the day. Here, this Ellie, she's awake during the day. Doesn't really have to be a big issue that she's awake. But it doesn't really make sense as to why she would prefer sleeping in a tub than her own bed, because she's only been a vampire for 10 years. She was raised to sleep in a normal bed, right? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would the dad be like, yeah, I got you this bathtub. You can sleep in this bathtub. Doesn't make sense. You raised her. She's still your daughter. Why all of a sudden does she want to sleep in a bed? I just need to understand why now that she wants to sleep in the tub versus sleeping in a normal bed. You can literally just get her a bedroom and cover up all the windows. So why make the bathroom her bedroom now? Doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. Because you changed key elements of her story and character. But you're trying, it's like, you're changing a lot, but you're still trying to keep those same elements. So it's like, okay, we got to change this, change that. But she's still going to sleep in the tub, and she still has to like puzzles. Why does she like puzzles? Why does this version of Ellie like puzzles? Because the Ellie back in 2008 version like puzzles because, they didn't really have like video games or anything back then, so they had puzzles to play with. But there's no reason as to why this current Ellie likes puzzles. I don't know. It's confusing me. The more I think about it, the more I'm getting upset. And the more that I'm finding myself just more disappointed with the series overall. Granted, like I said, this is only just in the first episode. I still have to watch the next episode. I am going to probably continue to review it as it's aired on television. I don't know. The point of this video is like I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it, and I wanted to come on and just share my thoughts with you all, just in case someone wanted to know what this was all about, had they seen the original or not. If you haven't seen the original, I highly recommend it. It's such a wonderful film. It really is. Beautifully crafted, great story, great characters. The actors in it do a phenomenal job. And just the relationship and dynamic between Ellie and Oscar is pretty spectacular. Right now I'm trying to give the show a benefit of the doubt because I really do like the original source material. I want to see where this is going, unfortunately, because I just need to know how is this all going to come together. But yeah, other than that, just let me know your thoughts, guys. Are you going to watch this series? Have you seen the original one? Were you disappointed? Do you like this? I feel like if you haven't watched the original series, you might actually enjoy this. You might actually think it's pretty good. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Beauty is within the eye of the beholder. So I can't judge someone for liking a series that I don't really particularly care for. I'm just watching it because I have an affinity for vampires and I like vampire things. So I guess I'm going to keep watching it despite it not being so very good in my taste. My taste or my opinions aren't the end all be all. Just because I say something isn't that great for me doesn't mean it's not actually great. I just wanted to share my thoughts because I'm a little skeptical about what they're doing with it. And this is coming from someone who's pretty open-minded by a lot of things. I'm pretty open-minded. I don't really care for, I don't mind people changing things up as long as it works. This just isn't working for me. So again, I don't want this video to go on too long. Just want to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Check out my other videos. And before you go, I'm also a fashion designer. I have my own clothing inside Hot Topic and Spencer's. You can check out more links down below. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts and let's have a discussion. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.
Check out our merchandise. Links are down below. Only at totemwp.com.